Many people have dreams of making it big in the music business. It's not as easy as it looks, but the road to stardom can be a lot smoother if you know the secrets to success. Cardi B's Grammy-nominated mega hit Bodak Yellow made her an overnight superstar. You don't need to have an album anymore to reach that level, says XXL Editor-in-Chief Vanessa Satten.
We've seen more than ever, more recently than ever, artists blow up and have a huge amount of success off of just one song.
Because of that, Cardi now has a major endorsement deal with Steve Madden shoes. And she's not alone. DJ Khaled is a new spokesperson for Weight Watchers' Freestyle program. Lil Yachty parlayed his popularity into Sprite commercials and his Nautica clothing line. The marriage of music and marketing is generating millions of dollars for everyone when it works, says marketing expert and entertainment manager James Cruz.
There's no real algorithm created yet, but what you look at is authenticity. What makes sense?
Cruz knows this well. He's played a major role in the careers of hip-hop's biggest names, from Nicki Minaj to Diddy to Busta Rhymes. Cruz shaped 50 Cent's groundbreaking endorsement deals with Vitamin Water and Reebok's G-Unit sneakers.
50 Cent and Vitamin Water makes sense. He was healthy, he had a great body, he looked great. Puffy owns the nightlife, so alcohol made sense. Ciroc and his astronomical success makes sense. We look at a Jay-Z. Jay-Z was one of the marketing geniuses of creating a rock nation, you know, a business, because he's a businessman.
Some never make it to the level of a Cardi B or 50 Cent because they get mired in legal and music ownership issues. There are simple ways to avoid them, says entertainment attorney James McMillan.
The main thing to do is to protect yourself. Go to uspto.gov and or go to copyright.gov and copyright your song. That's the best way to do it.
The music industry is constantly changing, but superstars all have this in common: hard work and passion. Let's find out what our panel has to say. Joining me is James Cruz. He's an entertainment manager, CEO of Cruise Control Entertainment, and founder of 123 Entertainment. Thank you so much for being with us, James.
Thank you, Lisa. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and great to have you.
Distinguished panel of guests as well.
All right. James McMillan is with us. He's an entertainment attorney. He's CEO of GothamCityESQ.com and also CEO of EST19XX production company. James, great to have you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Really appreciate it. Also with us is Amadeus, multi-platinum producer. He's the CEO of Platinum Boy Music and also Trey Songz music director. Amadeus, great to have you with us.
Queen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Amadeus, I'm going to start with you. We have so much talent in this room right now.
Yes, I'm honored to be
in the
here.
Studio, and so much experience. You guys, I don't think there's an artist out there that hasn't been done business or dealt with any one of the three of you guys.
Correct.
It's like that's how much experience is here. So let me get right to it. When you just came off working with Chris Brown on his album, all these new hits that he has, what have you seen with the different superstars that you've worked with, you know, from Jennifer Lopez to all these other artists? Do they have certain qualities in common as human beings and as performers?
Just something unique about being themselves, honestly. I feel like we're all given gifts and talents by God, and it's how we use it, you know. And I feel like artists today that are successful are truly being themselves. You know, I've been touring with Trey Songz for 10 years, and obviously he loves women, so he writes songs like Invented Sex and Say Ya, and he caters to the women. You know, you just have to be you and do you. Chris Brown is very passionate about making music and trying new ideas. He obviously loves Michael Jackson, so he's kind of walking in that same direction and just being free and willing to try different sounds and styles of music. So I'm just, you know, glad to be a part and work with those great artists.
James, you've worked with many artists and been on the cutting edge of these endorsement deals, marketing, all across the board over a period of years. Are there certain things that companies look for with artists?
Well, it's communication. It's really about getting the brand message across. When we had 50 Cent, the Reebok deal, I mean, we had a guy pointing a gun at you and was endorsing Reebok.
And that was a big deal because
yes,
people, at that time, hip-hop artists were not getting a lot of phone calls or emails. Please, we want you to endorse our product.
Well, let's be clear. Popcorn Chicken wasn't cool. Remember that commercial, guys?
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? When Hammer did Popcorn Chicken, oh, he sold out, he sold out, he sold out. I can't tell you of any marketing plan written in today's music business that does not have some sort of corporate endorsement. It has changed so much. The seeds that we planted years ago with the Busta Rhymes, Missy Elliott's, and 50 Cent have now all come to fruition. Now you see these great H&M deals with The Weeknd. Now you see Nicki Minaj with her Mac deal. So you've seen how it's grown exponentially over these years, and we saw it from beginning to end. Because trust me, nobody wanted to see Busta Rhymes clash heads with a ram in a Mountain Dew commercial. But when they saw it, they were like, whoa. Let's borrow some of that celebrity equity. And that's what brands did. They borrowed the equity and made themselves relevant.
To make the brand cool and to make it relevant, like you said. James, in terms of the pitfalls, like a lot of people think they can be in the music business. There's different pitfalls. A lot of people get caught up in the paperwork. Do the people that really make it over a period of years, because anybody can get one deal or one record, but do they have certain business plans and legal things in place?
I think the biggest difference maker is the team. So if they pick up the right team along the way and listen to their team and focus on what Amadeus said, what their core specialty is, if they know that they make great love music and they focus on love music, if they know that they're a street artist and they feed the streets, and then they rely on their team for other things. A lot of times I think one of the biggest pitfalls I see is artists trying to do everything. Anybody who's trying to do everything and trying to be the accountant, trying to be the lawyer, trying to, make the music, that rarely works.
And what about, like, sometimes if they have, like, the guy they grew up with or a family member, or, a lot of times that's...
Homeboy management.
Homeboy management. Homeboy management, now,
I didn't know there was a term for it like that.
It can be annoying, but it can work.
Yes.
It can work if you've got good people that are willing to listen to the people with experience and they're willing to add on to the team. But if they try to control everything, and it generally doesn't work.
I also think it has to do with integrity. I think a brand association has to make sense. Puff owns nightlife, hence he can market and brand Ciroc a certain way. 50 owned that, let me look good, let me work out, so Vitamin Water made sense. So it has to also have a complete brand integrity. You can't just endorse a brand because it's cool. It has to make sense. It has to have communications on both sides that are equal and surround the consumer with direct messaging that speaks to them in their own encoded language. And I think that's what people forget. When those big checks come through and Coca-Cola says, I'm gonna give you X amount of dollars to endorse my product, well, hey, check it out. Drinking soda is not actually healthy for you. So let's go back to something that really is. And that integrity makes those brands really excel.
What do you think about that, James?
No,
Integrity.
I agree 100%. You have, because you have horror stories, like, for instance, Kid Cudi, when I guess he had a deal with was it Reebok or Nike?
It was Reebok.
It was with Reebok, and he wore J's on the stage, and he wasn't true to the brand, and he immediately lost his endorsement deal, or you've got like Rick Ross, who he had a deal with Reebok too, and he was
just do it.
Yeah, just do it, and they were screaming things that weren't true to them.
And I remember, James, when you were working with 50, doing all the marketing for him, and for G-Unit, the G-Unit sneakers, is like there were those boxes of shipments. He made everybody wear the G-Unit sneakers, and that was that authenticity thing, right?
Well, it's also about managing the brand. It's like you can do a deal, but how do you manage the communications?
Exactly.
So, for example, when we had a 50 Cent sneaker deal, Jay-Z also had a deal at Reebok, and we actually went on tour together on the Rock the Mic tour, and Jay and 50 were on stage, but the difference was that 50 decided that every city he went to, because Reebok owned the NFL and the NBA rights, he was going to wear that jersey. He was going to wear sneakers that matched. So the brand integrity was there, hence 3.8 million pairs of sneakers sold after that. So we totally understood how to communicate that. Shout out to Chris Lighty, rest in peace. He planted those seeds. He was probably the greatest hip hop manager we'd ever seen, but even more so, he was a marketer.
The marketing thing. And Amadeus, in terms of the marketing, does it influence the music that people are making?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you want to win. You want to get those big checks. You want to really touch the masses. So a lot of times, you may not even wear that product or drink that brand, but you'll do it because the check is there, and you do it because it's something that people want versus it being something, that you want. And that's why when James mentioned about the 50 deal in Reebok, like, that was who he was, and that's what he represented. He represented hip hop. He represented the culture. He represented the streets. So it was authentic, and that's how I feel all across the board, from business to branding to marketing to creativity. When you do you and you be yourself, I don't want to say you can't lose, because sometimes you got to lose to win, but the chances of you becoming more successful are greater because of you being yourself.
All right, we're going to take a short break. This is Street Soldiers. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. We'll be right back.
Hit is a hit is a hit, but if it ain't authentic, it don't work. And that's something, like, you look at somebody like Cardi B, you don't get as authentic as Cardi B right now. And she owns it.
In terms of hip hop, there was a time where, not that long ago, where maybe a generation ago, where hip hop was considered off limits. The corporations had to really be sold creatively to understand what it is. Now hip hop is the dominant culture, the most downloaded music in the world over rock, pop, everything else, and the endorsements are there. But James, are there certain parts of hip hop or certain elements or characteristics of hip hop that make it such a natural fit with business deals?
I think it's hip hop is cool. It's the culture, and it's what the kids are into, and when you've got that consumer base that is the most predominant consumer base, then it's all, every brand wants to be associated with it.
James, what about the hustle of hip hop, the resilience?
The resilience, I mean, there's two things I always say. Puff Daddy and 50 Cent are geniuses, but they also have a tremendous work ethic. They're resilient, they're relentless. I call it the Muhammad Ali champ syndrome. You got to believe you're the best, because when people smell that that's not authentic and you really don't believe it, you're not going to get the response that you need. And for me, hip hop has always been confrontational. It's always been competitive. It's like, even The Bridge Is Over, MC Shan and Marley Marl, going back and forth. It's something that's been there. But from a branding standpoint, let's be clear, brands are borrowing celebrity cachet. And what celebrities are borrowing is brand dollar value from an advertising standpoint. So when you're able to stand on a Super Bowl commercial because of your celebrity cachet as an artist, both are mutually beneficial. However, if it's not real, then it doesn't come across the right way.
And do people smell that, Amadeus? Do people smell what's not real? Right away, can they tell the hip hop culture especially that whatever's fake is like, that's one of the worst things?
Yeah, you can't fool anybody, and those who choose to accept it want to accept it. You know what I mean? If you like a specific artist or a sound or their image, you just like them. They may pretend to be a street dude. They may pretend to be a dude that has, or a female that has a ton of money and living this lavish life. And then when you see them in the street, it doesn't represent that. But it can be a facade. It can be a thought that they're living, a fantasy that they're living, that they portray to the world. And nowadays we're smarter. People are smarter. The fans are smarter. You can't fool us no more. They know they can go rent the Maybach because the fan can go rent a Maybach.
They're not fooled by the music video or the Instagram pictures, right? They know.
Like everything that was accessible, to the artist, is now, it wasn't accessible before.
Right.
Now it is. What I mean?
But in this field, it is so crowded right now. There's so many artists, James. In terms, how do they create a career out of that? Like just in terms of their management, in terms of making a difference. And some people say that you have to be a spectacle now too. It's not just about the creativity. You have to have some kind of really weird look or something unusual or that type of thing.
I think it's the great thing about hip hop is that anytime someone is authentic and the music is good, it shines through.
Absolutely.
Period. Because they've got to be able to. I tell artists all the time, you can make a great record, but if you're making a great record, you've got to believe in what you're saying. If you don't believe it, the crowd, the audience are going to recognize it immediately, and it's not going to resonate. So it's, to your point, it has to be authentic. And that's it.
And then it ain't no rules. And I say that all the time. There's no rules.
Well, what do you mean no rules? Like what kind of rules?
Creativity. There's no rules. Like the deals that these gentlemen have done throughout the years with these mega stars. Like who would have thought that Puff will be on the Super Bowl? Like. I'm sure he did because that's the type of individual. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking into existence.
But the world, like we didn't know. I was, oh wow, Puff is on the Super Bowl. 50 got his own, like you said. 50 had a holding up a gun because that's where he was. He was the street. He was the hood. But went and got a multi-million-dollar deal with vitamin water and his own sneaker, his own brand. Like who would have knew? But I understand?
I don't mean to cut you off, but I also think, I worked for the first black president of a major record label. His name was Ed Eckstein at Mercury Records. And there was a big division between the urban side and the pop side. And then there was the rock side. So major triple division. And he had a sign over his door that said, a hit is a hit is a hit, period. But what he didn't tell you was, he would bring you in your office. He said, yeah, a hit is a hit is a hit, but if it ain't authentic, it don't work.
Facts.
And that's something, like, if you look at somebody like Cardi B, you don't get as authentic as Cardi B right now. And she owns it.
Right.
And that's the beauty. I mean, she's funny as hell, too. Don't get me wrong.
She's got a great sense of humor.
Great sense of humor, but she has a great attitude because she's not fearful of what people think of her and what she had to do in the past to get where she's at. That authenticity speaks volumes, and kids want to feel that, because kids, they don't have an identity right now, and they're looking for an identity. And because we live in an I world, it's all about I, me, me, me. But when you don't have an identity, how do you portray that into the world?
Let's talk about Cardi B for a minute, because she was, you know, and shout out to Cardi B. She was here on our show the very first season when she was still in Love and Hip Hop. Came here to the Street Soldiers studio, and it's just been great to us to see her explosion. I was interested in her because I thought, you know, she's doing everything they tell women not to do. You know, she's talking about sex. She's talking that she likes sex. She's talking about all these, you know, on and on and on and on. And she's not censoring her mouth. She was like, took that street thing, took that experience. Yeah, I was, you know, she told the minister, yeah, I'm a stripper because it paid more than working in the grocery store. You know, you're going to hate her for that? No, she had that authenticity. But is she changing the game for female artists, do you think, James, in terms of image?
In terms of image, I think, you know, Little Kim was talking about the same kind of stuff back in the day, too. Don't get me wrong.
That's true.
However, Cardi was able to take it to a different level because her personality, when she comes into a room, she lights the room up.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you look at the greatest artists that we've worked with, they have two things: resilience and charisma. And that charisma is what Cardi has. She came in, she would light you up, and she would tell stories and make you laugh. And listen, I'm Latino, so you're gonna root for anybody that's Latin in the game. And to see a woman come into that mold and make hit records.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When
and the music is really great. I mean, the music is
smash with hit records. You couldn't deny that. You know, and then now what does Cardi own? She owns fashion now. So what's she doing? She's doing a Steve Madden deal, and she has shoes. Oh, that's awesome. Now she's gonna diversify. That's what artists are doing nowadays. You're diversifying, because the only way to really make money is touring, merchandising, and diversification. Equity deals.
Because they don't make that much money. Let's talk about the money, James, in terms of because the downloading and streaming, all of that is the way that most people consume music right now.
Right.
So is the endorsement thing, that's the best way to, like James said, and the live shows, these tours, these big tours?
Well, I definitely think James hit on one, made a very critical point, and that's the three ways you can make money, the main ways, and that's touring, merchandise, and then your record sales, right? Those three. It's a trifecta. A lot of artists don't realize that, and they leave money on the table.
Take the table.
Yeah, take the table, exactly.
You can't leave money on the table if you take the table.
Take the building.
Mind you, if you are that kind of artist that can carry an endorsement, then endorsements are there too. But every artist can't carry those. What
do you mean they can't carry it?
They can't. Meaning
because they don't have the personality,
they
or
don't
they
have
just
the personality.
Somewhat, you know what? I agree with you to a certain extent, but some of them don't have the team.
Yeah, and it goes back to what we said earlier. It's a team. Yeah, so you can have the personality and not have the team, and your team is not following up on emails, following up on phone calls. They don't know how to execute.
Because as soon as you get hot, like that moment you get hot, everything starts hitting you at like warp speed.
And
like stuff is hitting you so fast.
Exactly.
And you could be missing things and great opportunities,
Absolutely.
right?
You need a filter. And you need to filter quick, because there's going to be a bunch of stuff coming at you, and you got to figure out what's real, what's not.
What's a time waster, what's a real opportunity.
Exactly.
Like that. I want to thank all of you for being with us for this episode of Street Soldiers. James Cruz, great to have you on the panel.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It's been a number of years, and I've always been in love with your approach and your spirit and your soul. And I want to thank my panelists here. James, I've known for years. Amadeus has been around for years. You know, to see such excellence in one place is amazing, and I thank you again.
It really
Happy
is a
New
very
Year.
special show. Thank you so much for making time. Also, James McMillan, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
we
you,
appreciate
Lisa.
it.
Thank you. This is your very first show, and I'm really proud to be here with these two guys. Thank you.
Kicking off 2018 in a big way. You know how we do.
Absolutely.
All right, Amadeus, thanks so much for being with us again.
Man,
really
I'm humbled, grateful. I learned so much even while sitting and speaking on the panel, man. You learn something new every day. So I'm blessed to be in this position. And it just goes to show you, you know, I handed CDs to these dudes. I used to run up on them in front of clubs and in front of office buildings. Real talk. Before it was no internet, before it was all that. It was CDs and cassette tapes.
Yes.
So to be, you know, here sitting beside them, you know what I mean, speaking on career and my life is a blessing, man. So keep shooting for the stars, man. Keep dreaming, keep working, keep hustling. This could be you.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. Remember, use your mind. It's your best weapon. I hope it's your only weapon. I'm Lisa Evers. Let's push for peace.